We have the backstage reaction to The Rock's SmackDown promo, plus more AEW backstage frustration to tell you about. And Miro has wrestled his first match since leaving AEW. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling news right now. The Rock on Friday night addressed the New Orleans faithful, announced that Mania is coming back next year, and then said a whole load of other words too.
He did say a whole lot of other stuff. It's led to people trying to interpret what he said. It's led to some people saying it was too unclear. It led to other people saying, no, it's quite obvious what he wants. You've talked about it all in an upcoming video on the channel, Tom.
Yes, tonight we will ask the question, what the hell was The Rock talking about? We'll do it there, but let's get into what people say behind the scenes. Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer saying when it comes to that segment, the backstage reaction, quote, you should have been able to watch that segment and know exactly what's going on. But as one person told me, in one segment, he turned more than the Big Show did in his entire career.
Yeah, but then Meltzer did do a very Meltzer thing and clarify. He actually turned about 3 or 4 times. He actually said that as well.
Just in case you weren't
Just
sure.
in case you actually saw, yeah. But it's a good point, because The Rock did start off by going, you're getting Mania, lads. And the crowd all went, yay. And then he went, you're all disgusting. And they all went, boo. And then he went, here comes a man I love and respect, Cody Rhodes. And everyone went, yay. And then he went, I want your soul, Cody Rhodes.
Boo. Later in that same episode of the Wrestling Observer radio show, we also learned, quote, one person there said they thought it really diminished Cody.
Yeah, one person backstage in WWE believing that, which I guess maybe means that that's word going around. Maybe it's more than one person. It's hard to tell. But I kind of get it. I don't think it's as egregious as last year's was, where The Rock tried to take the Mania main event away from the Royal Rumble winner. That was pretty blatant. This time...
He's taking the main event from the Elimination Chamber winner instead.
Well,
which is far less egregious.
I think The Rock seems to think, well, if I come back and I make it clear that I'm not wanting the belt myself this time, I'm not going for that, but I'm still the centerpiece of everything. He seems to think everyone will go, that's all right, Dwayne, that's fine. But I don't know. But I don't know if
why are you so great?
I don't know if everyone is all right with that, because Triple H has spent ages building up this whole intricate thing in the men's division, at least. This whole intricate, many people involved in this whole build toward WrestleMania. Who's it going to be? And now it does feel like plans have been put on hold while we shoehorn The Rock's storyline in once again.
It is certainly one that we are going to keep an eye on. And as Jack said later on today, we'll ask the question, what the hell was The Rock talking about? We'll decipher it, we'll decode it, and we'll scratch our heads about it later on the channel. Meanwhile, it looks as if TNA have some interest in a recently released WWE star.
Yes, this comes courtesy of Dr. Chris Featherston on Backstage Pass, who reports TNA Wrestling currently has a very high interest in former WWE superstar Elektra Lopez, and she is in talks of debuting with the company after her 90-day non-compete clause is over. She was recently backstage at the TV event, and that there are other companies interested in signing her as well, but she is currently leaning towards signing with TNA indeed.
I think she'd be a good fit in TNA with Elektra Lopez.
It's a great women's division and has been for a long time now, TNA. It's kind of been one of their consistent strengths over the years, hasn't it? TNA's Knockouts division. And I think she would be put in maybe an environment with maybe a lot more experienced women who could help her improve and everything. She's always had the presence, she's always had the charisma. I just don't think she was given, it's a cliche, but I don't think she was given enough reps on TV in the ring.
I really feel like we should have got more from Elektra Lopez. Like, just as you say, an aura and a presence about her that I don't think was capitalized upon. I think in someone like TNA, you might get that as well.
Maybe so.
We'll float over to AEW, where there's been a couple of conversations around the backstage situation over the years in AEW. We have another one today, coming in the aftermath of a rather awkward segment from last week's Dynamite with Thunder Rosa running in with a chair to save Chris Statlander, and then she kind of sort of stands there and doesn't quite hit Megan Bain, sort of thinks about it, but then maybe the soul of Cody Rhodes steps in and stops her because she can't quite reach her. It's already made it to Botchamania, so you know it's a good one.
I described it on the podcast as a genius move by the heels, because they knew that in the script she wasn't meant to hit them with the chair, so they just didn't run away. Why don't more wrestlers do that? No, yeah, she ran in to try and stop this beatdown by Megan Bain and Penelope Ford. There was either a miscommunication or someone was trying to make someone look bad. I don't want to cast any aspersions. It might have just been a horrendous miscommunication. It led to an awkward standoff. Thunder Rosa teasing swinging the chair, them not moving, Ford then doing like a tug of war with the chair, and then the heels kind of sauntering away while Thunder Rosa looked really annoyed. And I also would have looked really annoyed, I think, if that happened to me.
Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Radio saying, not one week goes by where I don't hear from somebody in AEW saying, why the flip don't we have production meetings? We need production meetings. Things happen on every show where if we had a production meeting, they wouldn't happen. But Tony Khan refuses to do production meetings. And here we are. This is another one. What in the flip happened here? Nobody knows. Didn't get a single good explanation for it. It was just everybody was on a different page. And you made the babyface look like an absolute idiot, and away we go.
Yeah, I have to agree with Alvarez on that one, I'm afraid. And if it's true what he's saying, and that people in AEW are consistently complaining to him about the lack of production meetings from Tony Khan, that surely needs to be something that would need to be addressed to keep the confidence of his locker room and everything.
You would have thought so, wouldn't you? Matt Hardy, formerly of AEW, he weighed in with complaints about a recent edition of his podcast. Now, my apologies. Complained on a recent edition of The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. He talked about the booking side of AEW, specifically citing the Mercedes Moné and Harley Cameron match from Grand Slam. A lot of people think that Harley should have got the dub on that particular night.
Yeah, and Matt Hardy was certainly one of them as well. It was mentioned, or the point of discussion was that Mercedes is miles ahead of Harley in the ring as a worker, which of course she is. She's incredibly talented and has way more experience. But Matt Hardy's point was quite interesting. He said, who cares if Harley doesn't match up with Mercedes in the ring? That's irrelevant. It doesn't matter if she doesn't match up. It drives me nuts. If you're over as a character, if people are interested, it's going to help sell tickets. It's going to move merch. And someone that's popular, you need to utilize them. And I think he's got a point.
He also made like a big comment about the whole idea that they sell the fact that AEW is where the best wrestle. He talked about that and said, you gain popularity through characters and stories. Obviously, wrestling's important because it's wrestling, but a big part of it is the characters and the storytelling as well. It's also worth pointing out that the Hardys are no longer affiliated with AEW and are on WWE TV tomorrow. They are returning via NXT to face the No Quarter Catch Crew tomorrow night.
Yeah, they're part of this burgeoning partnership between TNA and WWE. They're facing Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne, and it then has been sort of implied as well that should they beat the No Quarter Catch Crew, which I assume they will, they'll go on to face the NXT Tag Team Champions, Nathan Fraser, and I'm just getting emotional, Nathan Fraser and Axiom. And if Fraxiom lose, I'll be a really cross boy.
I will.
Because the Hardys don't match up with them in the ring.
Livid!
I kind of agree with what Matt's saying here with regards to Harley Cameron. I think it's a balancing act and that both arguments can be very valid at certain times. And maybe in this instance, with just the sheer popularity of Harley, maybe the argument in this case did fall more on the side of character over work rate. And she's not bad in the ring or anything either. It's not like she's terrible. She's good enough.
Words by Matt Hardy, formerly of AEW. But what of another former AEW talent in Miro? He got back in the ring this weekend.
He did. He was part of that super show that you might have heard that was going to go on recently in Qatar, held by Qatar Pro Wrestling. The results from the event aren't yet known. There's match listings online on Cage Match and stuff. There's some photographs floating around, but they've actually kept the results very close to the result cards close to their wrestling chests. But it will be available to stream on Triller apparently from March 2nd. We do at least know who Miro's opponent was, as there are various photographs showing him wrestling former League of Nations stablemate in WWE, Alberto El Patron. I got a little bit confused when I saw this because I looked at the match card and it was meant to be El Patron versus Bobby Lashley. But then he's very busy with AEW, so I don't know what happened there. Either way, whether that match did indeed take place or not, I don't know. But a match that did certainly take place by the looks of it was El Patron versus Miro instead.
Well, the League of Nations explode.
Yes.
That should clearly be on the poster if we haven't seen it already.
It'll provoke a humanitarian crisis.
Do you know what, maybe in this political climate, maybe not good to put that on the poster. But when it comes to Miro, I think everybody's kind of expecting this to be like a short indie tour and then maybe popping up on a Monday or a Friday.
That was mentioned in the Wrestling Observer last week as well, absolutely, with Melter not only saying that he wouldn't be surprised if Miro and maybe Malachi Black turn back up in WWE, but also he mentioned if CJ Perry would be involved as well. He said he wouldn't be too surprised. Now, I don't know the circumstances of their separation and everything. They might be on very good terms, and that would be brilliant. I don't know if maybe just given the history of the booking of Lana and Rusev when they were together in WWE, I don't know whether it would be worth giving that another shot. Maybe with Triple H at the helm, it wouldn't be as weird as it was at Gauntlet Vince.
Maybe one we will certainly. I'm intrigued to see what he would do back under that umbrella, under Triple H's watch. But it's one that we'll keep an eye on. And for the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.
Oh, those goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Yes.
Goosebumps.
I want your soul.
Ow.
Oh, how does he do that?